Hi there everybody, and welcome back to the channel. You're watching A Ritter Bit Will Do, and today I've got some viewer questions to answer, and I've been busy, so I'm sorry, Oscar Muniz, I haven't gotten around to your question, but we're going to answer it today. So this is probably some good information for anybody else that might own a cab or has any interest in owning one of these cabs, because we're going to talk about these lights. So stick around. All right, I wanted to show you guys, I've been heating my garage, right? We got it insulated, so I've got these I got these space heaters going. I got one over here. I've got one over here. I'm sure you can hear them. They're kind of loud. So I didn't really think about the noise in the background when I put these fans in. So to clear things up on the video, we're going to convert over here now to our buddy heater. We're going to get this thing going. We're going to turn these fans off so it's a little less annoying. There we go. That's a little better, isn't it? Now we'll get this thing going. There we go. This is much quieter. That'll put out some more BTUs anyway. So my plan is, when I want to use the garage, I'm going to start up those electric space heaters, you know, probably an hour or two prior for me to come out here. And then if I got to do some video, I'll try to remember to turn on that propane heater, and then it can be somewhat quiet. But you guys probably don't really care too much about that, but I do, because it keeps me warm. We're going to talk about these lights. Oscar wanted to know how I have these mounted, because there is not much room in there, and it took me some trial and error applications. Try this, that didn't work, switch it up, maybe that will work. So I'm going to show Oscar exactly how these are put together, what I use to make the angle work, because there's some angles you have to watch out for. So we're going to talk about that too. So I guess there's nothing to it but to do it, so let's go. All right, I've got my handy dandy flashlight. This is a Christmas present that I got. This flashlight is actually the ThruNite brand. Okay, it is not the Olight like I showed before. This is a ThruNite, and I'm very pleased with it. You can look forward to a video coming, a little review about this light pretty soon. This is not its brightest setting. It's ridiculously bright. It's got some features I'm still trying to figure out, but there we go. I think this is the brightest setting, maybe not. We're not going to be using the brightest setting because that would be much too bright, so we're just going to use a setting that will work for us. All right, this bracket underneath here that's holding this light, do you see where that bolt is right there? Pretty much centered in the screen. That is attached to this bracket, and that bracket goes up, and there's another bolt that's there you go. Now you can see a little better. You can see right there, that goes through to the roof. Okay, so this is the bracket that holds this light on, but this bracket doubles as a hinge, so it holds the light and it holds the roof in place, and it acts as a hinge. So it's kind of got three different purposes. It's a hinge, it's a roof bracket, and it's a light bracket. So yeah, it's kind of a wonky looking bracket, but it works. These are the factory lights that Curtis provides with the cab. Doesn't provide, it's an additional optional cost that you can get with the cab. So this light on this side and that light over there I got when I got the cab. These three lights in the middle I added later. In fact, I added these over the summer, and I had to make my own bracket for this to work, and this is what Oscar is interested in. He wants to know, how did I make that bracket work? So this, I think a lot of you are going to find interesting. So if you have one of these cabs, or have any aspirations and dreams of owning one of these cabs, you're going to want to know how this light bracket works. So this is why it's difficult to make, and he has a question about it, because this is the BX23S, right? It has the backhoe attachment. So when I want to use my backhoe, I have to take this back panel off. Well, for this back panel to come off, this roof needs to pop up. So on this BX23S premium deluxe cab from Curtis. This cab pops up. It's on a hinge, right? This bracket acts as a hinge, as that bracket does. Well, inside the cab here, you'll notice this little yellow lever and this yellow lever. Well, I'm going to pop those open, and you're going to see the roof pop open. Now, when I open the roof up, when I pop the roof up, you know, kind of acts like a sunroof on a car that just kind of tilts open. I want you to pay attention to the gap between here and the light, okay? From here and the light, because this gap is going to close. Right now it's probably about 2 inches or 1 3/4 at least, maybe 2 inches. You're going to notice that gap is going to close. So I'm going to set you guys up. I'm going to pop open this roof and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, did you notice that? How this gap here now is much less than 2 inches. It's probably about just a 1/2 inch really. Which works perfect because it really makes it work so I can still open the roof and not have to worry about it interfering with the lights. Now there's another angle that makes this more complicated. All right, so I'm going to show you what that angle is now. All right, what I was talking about is this windshield. This windshield also pops open. Okay, so it just tilts open just like so. Locks in place really easily and provides some nice airflow on those hot summer days if you need a little bit more airflow. But what it does is it also creates a little bit of an issue with the clearance. So as you can see, as I opened the windshield, the lights didn't move at all. They weren't affected. It's not hitting the lights. It still works. So I found the sweet spot. Okay, you have to find the sweet spot where the lights are going to not interfere with the cab and they're not going to interfere with the windshield. So if you can find that sweet spot with whatever kind of bracket you can make, then you're golden. But because I did it already, I'll show you exactly what I did to make it work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the windshield, I'm going to close the roof, and then we're going to take this light right off because it's on a magnet, which is really handy. So close the windshield, close the roof, and then we'll take it off. You probably noticed that these outside lights moved as I closed the roof. That's because they're attached to that bracket, right? They're attached to that bracket that holds the roof, the light, and is attached to the frame. Okay, so that's all part of that bracket. The lights in the middle, they didn't move. They're in that, what I'm going to call is the sweet spot, where there's enough clearance for the roof and there's enough clearance for the windshield. I'm going to grab some clippers because I actually have these held on with zip ties just in case the magnet were to fall down. So let me grab some clippers, we'll clip those zip ties, and then I'll show you the bracket. All right, got my handy dandy clippers here. We're just going to clip these zip ties. Sacrifice some zip ties so Oscar can figure this out, and that's just fine. We have millions of these things. Find a spot to throw them there. Make sure I'm clipping zip ties and not electrical wires. that would be a problem. Very big one. Now this light is free to come off because it's only held on by a magnet, right? So here's the magnet. And what I also did is I used a quick connect so I can take the whole thing off. So this is how it sits. All right, so we're gonna go sit down and I'm gonna show you exactly how this is put together. Again, when I install it, you know, it's just as simple as finding that spot and it just sits right in there. It's just as nice as can be. To be honest, this is a strong magnet. I probably don't need the zip ties, but because I'm in the woods a lot and oftentimes there's branches and stuff hitting, I really don't want this to fall down and maybe scratch or break my windshield. That would be real bad. So the zip ties give me a little bit of peace of mind. So let's go check out this thing, how it's put together. This is the top side of it. All right, this is the top side. This is the bottom side. What I use to make it is I use this 1-inch perforated square tubing, okay, perforated steel tubing. I just spray paint it black, try to make it look pretty, and it works really nice when it's perforated because there's a lot of options to, there's a lot of holes that you don't have to drill. That's basically what it comes down to. There's a lot of holes that you don't have to drill. Like to zip tie it, I just run a zip tie through one of those holes. To put the lights and the other little brackets on, I just simply, use those existing holes already. So that's what I use. And then the magnet back here, well, I got the magnet from Harbor Freight. I never leave Harbor Freight without a magnet or zip ties or an LED light of some sort. So I like to go to Harbor Freight and see what they have. Now, you can see that I'm going to get you up close here so I can show you a little bit better. So hold on just a second. All right, this is a little easier for me. You can see that I cut out about 1 inch of this perforated tubing. See, there's the hole from the perforated tubing, right? I cut out about 1 inch of it, and I used for an additional bracket. I actually had tried this without this little 1 inch kick out, but it wasn't quite working with the windshield perfectly. So I wanted to make sure that it worked. So I kind of made it come out a little bit further than I had it in the beginning, trial and error, and got a bolt through there. And I have another bolt through there, and you can kind of see how that's all put together. It really helps to have tiny fingers and needle nose pliers and narrow sockets that you can get in there and make it work. And that's where this thing really comes in handy. This is one of those step bits. If you've never used one of these, Harbor Freight again, 10 bucks you can get one. I am really impressed with this. To make these holes a little bit bigger, I just use this step bit, and it just makes them a little bit bigger at a time, just enough to where I can get a nut and a bolt through and make it all work and make it come together. So this takes a little bit of time to get right, but this is the geometry that works, right? This is the sweet spot, okay? So here's my little quick connect for my electrical wire, which is really just spliced into my front lights. It's on that same switch, so that just works easy like that. And I'm just giving you guys a nice little look at this here, how it works. These lights, guys, go to eBay. I think I bought 10 of these lights for about 30 or 40 bucks, really. And I think I have an extra one sitting around. Remember the one I put on the Snowblower? That's where that came from. So I've got a few of these. But yeah, it works really well. It's really bright. I like that I can kind of angle these lights to the right or the left, up and down, being that they're on an individual post. They work pretty well. So that's basically it. Hope I answered Oscar's question for him. So I'll just put this back on with this quick connect, and then the magnet will hold it in place, center it right above those hinges, and then we'll use some zip ties to hold it in place. So So there we go. Hopefully we got Oscar's question answered. I would imagine that we did. I'm sorry that it took me a little bit longer than usual. If you have a question for me, leave it in the comments of my videos or join us on Facebook. I've got a Facebook group called A Ritter Bit Will Do. And if you want to instant message me on Facebook through that group, I'm usually really good about answering questions. I am sorry, Oscar, it took me a little bit longer than usual. But typically I'm pretty good about it. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. Don't forget, I need a like this video, please. Hopefully you found it helpful. And until next time, everyone, keep on tractoring, and God bless.